All right. Let's move on to our next series, which is the Los Angeles Kings versus the Edmonton Oilers. Now, this series is an interesting one to me, because you have the best player in the world and a top 5 player in the world going up against a bunch of guys who maybe have not been considered super relevant in a lot of years. But kind of why are you excited for this series? And I say haven't been relevant in a lot of years. Obviously, they made some noise last playoffs. This series has history. The Kings and Oilers, I feel like, play every year. And the Kings always give the Oilers trouble. What is interesting to you about this series?
I think you've got a Kings team that was probably looked at as a fringe playoff team, I think, in the Pacific. And the Oilers coming in as obviously contenders going into the season. That was not the case for the first until they...
Well, they should have been. Everyone
but they should have been
in the Stanley Cup, and then they did garbage, and then they turned it around. Hey, you and I have said for a long time that Woodcroft was an issue in Edmonton. And when they fired him, it was a switch. It was like, oh, they know how to play, actually.
Yeah. I mean, some of the... And not to go on a tangent on him, but, I mean, some of the lines that he made were just... They were just shocking. I mean... but anyway, yeah, I mean, I think this is the two teams have a history together. I think this is going to be a lot of fun. Obviously with McDavid and Draisaitl, but you've got some really good, you got Kopitar, been in the league for, I can't remember for how long now. But
I mean, a long, I think he's been in the league. I think, let's say 06, 07 was his first league.
I mean, he's 36 years old, putting up 70 points.
Well, okay. And this is, I should have given you a chance to think on this question. You're going up against Connor McDavid, and you got to put one guy against him to shut him down. Who are you taking? Anywhere.
Oh, anywhere?
Any player in the league, who's one player you're taking to shut down Connor McDavid? There's a right answer, and then there's a second player I would take.
Man, that's something I don't have to think about for a little bit.
Yeah.
Man. This is what happens. Okay, hang on. You can go on with whatever you need to, because now I gotta think. Because I know who I want, but I can't think of his name.
My number one guy
for a second. I'll tell you if it's the same guy.
Is Alexander Barkov. That's who I want. Now, that's crazy. You might be like, that's crazy, but Barkov is so good at shutting people down. You know who my number 2 is? My number 2 guy to go against Connor McDavid is Anze Kopitar, because he is so good defensively, but also has such vision, so smart, so good at just knowing where to be at the right times. And bad news for Connor McDavid is that he has to play against Kopitar in the first round. Now, do I believe that neutralizes Connor McDavid? No, I don't. And as a matter of fact, I think that the biggest issue LA is going to have is going to be in net. Talbot played 54 games. Big save David Riddick played in 24 games. You look at those guys, and I just don't know if I trust. Talbot was decent this year. So is actually Big Save Dave. But I don't know if I trust either of them against McDavid after a full season. I don't trust them against Draisaitl. I don't know that I fully love. I think that LA has some decent defensemen, but I don't know that they have the defensemen that can truly shut down McDavid. So I don't know. I think that if LA wants a chance to win this series, they're going to need a big series from a couple guys. Quentin Byfield's going to have to be good, really good, and prove that he's a good player in this league.
Yeah.
And Pierre-Luc Dubois is going to have to be a really good player. if LA even wants to hang with if LA even wants to hang with Edmonton.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I just don't think they have a shot.
Yeah, I agree completely. I mean, they've got to get up and down the lineup. I mean, and if they want any chance in this series, I think they've got to find a way to make it a longer series for the Oilers.
I agree. I think that the thing that you're going to struggle with is like, oh, you're playing against McDavid, and Draisaitl, and a really good this year Zach Hyman, and a Ryan Nugent-Hopkins, and a veteran Adam Henrique, and a lockdown defensive guy in Matthias Ekholm, and a good disher Evan Bouchard who had 82 points this year, and Evander Kane, and Darnell Nurse, and a veteran Corey Perry. Like,
that's a real run.
I would love to see these games be like 7-6 because both teams have garbage goaltending, and so it could be kind of fun in this series.
Yeah.
Who wins it for you? What's your
I think
prediction?
I think the Oilers take this in 6 games.
Yep. I think Oilers 5, maybe 6, probably, just because I think LA has enough skill to like take them to 6. If it goes to 7, it might get interesting, but I don't think it does. I think Talbot's going to have to get hot if they're going to play with the Oilers, and I don't think they can that long. All right, so Oilers, according to us, you are going to win.